One of my favorite quotes of all time is that you are one decision away from a completely different reality. And every time I hear it or read it, I get goosebumps, which is also the case right now. I don't know if you can see them. And that's why in today's video, I wanted to talk about some of the big or monumental decisions that I have taken in my life that have completely changed the course of my life as I know it. I will talk about why I think they were good decisions in hindsight, because let's be honest, जब हम पीछे देखते हैं हमें तभी पता चलता है कि कोई decision अच्छा था, बुरा था, बड़ा था, छोटा था. And I'll talk about what my mindset was going into these decisions, like while I was making them. And of course, I have a special message at the end for all of you watching, so make sure you stick around and let's get started. Number one is taking up psychology as my core subject in college. So for those of you who don't know, I have done my undergraduation as BA Honours in Psychology from Delhi University. And at that point in time, it was the randomest choice in the world. So I had taken commerce in class 12. So 11th and 12th I did with commerce with maths. And initially when I had taken those subjects, I had thought that I will do something in the accounting mathematics section. And I got decent marks. And my parents also wanted me to check out doing maths honors. But then I came across psychology as a subject in one of the DU colleges, and I was extremely intrigued. And I was like, hey, this sounds like something that I should be doing. And that was it. And that's how I took that decision randomly. I had no career path planned out for myself. I had absolutely no idea what I would do after I studied psychology. I just thought that it is a good subject to study, and instead of taking like maths honors and making my life a living hell, or instead of taking something like English, which I enjoyed studying or reading at the time but didn't know what it would lead to, I decided to go with psychology. And I cannot be more grateful today for the fact that this is the subject that I chose to study. It opened me up to a whole new world of the human mind, of course. It was such an interesting subject. I was really happy with this choice while I was in college itself. And at one point in time, I was planning to do my master's from abroad, in clinical psychology. But then that's a different story. That's a story for another day and age. And now, 10 years later, I am using this very subject in the content that I'm creating. I am using my understanding of this subject to help people, to coach people. And all of that would not have been possible if I hadn't taken that one random decision of taking psychology as my subject in college. Super happy with it. The second decision was moving out of my parents' house at 25. Now, for a lot of people, this might not sound like a very big deal, but I moved out in the same city as an unmarried Indian adult girl, which is something that's not looked upon very favorably in the community. And at that time, when taking that decision, it was quite a huge one. It was a very monumental thing. But I was very clear in my head that I wanted to live independently. I wanted to have my own set of experiences. I wanted to experience life by myself and not just in a sheltered environment with my parents. And that one decision actually changed the course, the trajectory of my life completely, because we dealt with a family problem back in 2019, 2020. And if I hadn't moved out, my family wouldn't have been able to move in with me, and we would not be where we are. So, like I said, unless we look back, we don't know how our decisions are going to impact our life. But it was a huge, huge one at that time itself, and even now. And I always tell people whenever somebody asks me that you should try living by yourself. And it's very difficult to do if you've studied in the same city where your parents live, if you worked in the same city that your parents live, because India mein moving out of your parents' house in the same city is just kind of looked down upon. But mauka mile to ye zarur karna chahiye. The third thing is taking up content creation as a career choice. And it has been a choice that has taken multiple years to become and come into this current state. But it wouldn't have started if I hadn't decided to start writing content. And going back to my college days, I was studying psychology when my brother also got into his undergrad, and he decided to take mass communication. And when I looked at his curriculum, I absolutely fell in love. And that's when I knew that this is the field that I wanted a career in. I wanted to write, I wanted to create videos, all of that jazz. And given that it has taken 7, 8, 9 years for me to actually get to that stage, but that's when I decided in my head. And after that, I ended up studying journalism, working as a journalist for a few years, and realizing it is an absolutely shit field. And then switching over to digital content and realizing the plethora of opportunities that this field holds. When I was making all of these switches, it was very uncertain. It was such an uncertain time, because every time I made a switch in my career, it was like, am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? Will this make me make enough money that I can sustain myself, fulfill my interests, blah, blah, blah. And here we are, 7, 8, 9 years later. I am saying 7, 8, 9 because I don't remember the exact number of years, but yeah, about a decade later. And I think this career field is meant for me. And combined with psychology, it's just everything that I ever wanted to do. Number 4, and this is a mental decision which has impacted my every move in the last decade or so, is deciding not to get pressured into making choices. And what I mean by that is, every time in life, because I come from a slightly more conservative family, every time that we had to make a decision in life, there was the entire pressure of my dad. There was the entire pressure of log kya kahenge. And that dictated my life up until I was in college. And that pressure was crazy. It was insane. I remember between 10th and 12th, there was not a week that had gone by where I did not cry. And once I actually got out of college, something switched. And I realized that I do have the power to make my own decisions, that as an adult, I don't have to be pressured into making decisions. And once I decided that, every single decision that I have taken since then has been my own choice. And I cannot stress how important, how monumental this has been in shaping my life, in shaping my thought patterns, in making me understand myself as a human being. Once I decided that I'm not going to go get pressured into anything because of what people are saying, or because my parents think it's right and I fundamentally don't feel it's all right, everything changed. I became a lot more independent. I became a lot more confident. I was able to figure out which decision is right for me and which decision is not right for me. And that is why whenever you watch my content, I talk about having the freedom of choice, having the freedom to choose what you want to do. And finally, trusting my intuition. Again, this has been a process. It is an ongoing process. But about a decade ago, when I decided to not get pressured into making decisions, is also when I needed to trust my intuition, when I needed to start trusting my intuition. And ever since then, it has only gotten stronger. And never once in life has it led me astray. I think we don't give enough credit to ourselves, to our subconscious mind, where our intuition, of course, stems from. When we are making choices in life, when we are in hard situations in life, and this gut feeling, this inherent feeling of what is right, what is wrong, where we are going, is so powerful. And once you start listening to it, only then you realize how powerful it is. Because if you learn how to listen to your inner voice, if you learn how to listen to what your subconscious is trying to tell you, the chances are very low that you will be led astray. अब ऐसे देखो तो this seems like a very random set of 5 decisions. Some of them are more mental, some of them are actual physical decisions. But at 30, I know how seamlessly they blend together to help me create the life that I want. Would I have known this at 20? Probably not. Actually, not at all. I wouldn't have had an inkling of imagination or thought that this is where this will lead me. Which is why one of my biggest learnings as well has been to trust my gut. Because every time I've taken a decision trusting my gut, it has led me to a very specific point in my life. And that is such an important experience to have, in my opinion. And it's not like every decision that I've taken in life has been just the perfect thing and I have never made a wrong decision. That's not what it is. But one of my other learnings through this entire process, through the last decade, has been that even if the outcome doesn't turn out to be what I expected it to be, or even if I don't get the desired outcome, it's okay. I am physically, mentally capable of moving on, of steering my life in a different direction. And that is the message that I want to leave you with. I will see you in the next one. Bye.